Here's a recap of the top 20 indie team-based RPGs and strategy games released during 2021, which we reviewed on turnbasedlovers.com in this year. I'm sure that you should be able to find something that works just right for you in this list. There are some of the best indie games which offer hundreds of hours of entertainment whenever you are on PC, Switch, PS4, 5 or Xbox and Stadia. Games are sorted from the lowest score to the highest. Anyway, before starting, please remember to hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel and also consider supporting us through our member program and Patreon page. Lots of perks, mystery box and contests await you. Anyway, let's go! Let's start our list of the best indie games of 2021 with overpowered teams grid-based tactical game Rune Raiders, which feels like a breath of fresh air. It doesn't try to imitate Final Fantasy Tactics or XCOM, being instead a thing on its own. That thing of course is a slight-looking adventure with cyborg furries battling robots among the ruins of an ancient civilization. The main draw of Rune Raiders is its sheer originality, yet it has plenty more to offer. It has delightful visual in addition to many quality of life user interface improvements that many games could learn from. It also offers an extensive arsenal of weaponry, giving you a great degree of freedom in customizing your multi-species squad. Progression in Rune Raiders is a real threat. Not only do you get to unlock new gear, but also new animal species for your anthropomorphic army. Each offers unique battlefield advantages in a fun twist on traditional class systems. Rune Raiders is on PC, Switch, PS4 and Xbox One.
没人知道核战争是谁先引发的，但幸运的是，我们活下来了。身为幸存者的我们，藏身避难所100年。
A well-constructed caravan scene from Z-Joy, Dust to the End lets the player conquer a nuclear wasteland with economic power rather than force of arms, while firefights are sure to erupt as you trek your goods through the sands. They're just speed bumps on the road to profit. Not only it is intensely satisfying to flip your wares for unconscionable prices, based on supply and demand, but there are also several mini-games that can help you build your mercantile empire. There are endless decision points, resulting from a combination of a robust party system and a multitude of factors to consider in your business choices. If you're curious to know what else Dust to the End has to offer, check out our full review on turnbasedlovers.com. Dust to the End is a PC game.
只要还有一丝希望，曾经的文明就能够再度重建。
The developers at Sword and Axe made no bones about their inspiration behind Deity. The game is a loving tribute to classic Fire Emblem. Don't be fooled though, to call Deity a Fire Emblem clone would be doing it a massive disservice. It's got its own world, well-developed characters and more importantly no permadeath. Hardcore players might scoff, but sometimes people just want to swing swords and smite evil without having to worry about their favorite hero buying the farm after an unlucky critical. Deity also boasts a weapon system very distinct from that of Fire Emblem. You won't have to deal with your weapon's durability here, instead you have to decide how to upgrade them, combined with multiple class change paths. This allows for plenty of customization. You will however have to turn to fan fiction to shape your favorite characters. Deity is a PC game. Guild of Ascension is one of the best indie games of 2021, with the visual feasts of a roguelite, courtesy of Montreal developer Wild One Productions. Players guide a team of 2 heroes, chosen from 3 class options, through floor after floor of procedurally generated dungeons. You're required to spend any experience and gold you earn between floors, so you'll need to take what you can afford at the time. This keeps the difficulty steady throughout, and the party never feels overpowered as a result. What sets Guild of Ascension apart from other dungeon crawlers is its combat, which requires cooldown management for damage mitigation and uses time as a resource. It's a bit more complicated than it sounds. Guild of Ascension is a PC game. There are few things more joyful than a game that the developers clearly had fun making. It's obvious even from screenshots that Kate Bergen had a blast making Gem Wizard's Tactics. This is a hex-based tactical game that doesn't take itself too seriously. Sure, you can play your traditional fantasy army with the Azure Horde, but be honest, you are much more interested in the evil business demons or the weather-controlling potatoes. Yes, they're called the potatoes. Gem Wizard's Tactics encourages the player to manipulate the battlefield, freezing rivers and such, to change the terrain. Another interesting mechanic is that you can only recruit units by finding them on the map and convincing them to join you. Gem Wizard is a PC and Android game.
Equipment, alliances, formations, everything is accurate to the finest detail. It is a beautifully crafted product that is, yet again,
The Field of Glory series has been very successful in its transition from the tabletop to the digital space. This year we were treated to the standalone DLC for Field of Glory 2, adding the medieval period to the game's already robust roster of ancient and classical times.
heyday of the mounted knight who is armored from head to toe.
There are now several campaigns sure to entice any medieval history buff, including the greatest hits like the Norman Conquest, as well as events that don't get as much screen time in games, such as the Northern Crusade. If you're looking for a turn-based alternative to Age of Empire, Field of Glory 2 Medieval is a great choice. This goes double for fans of tabletop war gaming, who haven't been able to indulge due to the pandemic. Field of Glory 2 Medieval is a PC game.
Perhaps you are the hero the lady foretold. Perhaps not.
Cris Tales is a stylized RPG with a focus on time manipulation. Much of the narrative relies on using the protagonist's time magic to look back and forward in time.
My name is Cris Tales.
Knowing how actions will play out differently based on your choices harkens back to Chrono Trigger, where opening a chest is the past with emptied in the future. Of course, 2 decades of adventures make the time systems in Cris Tales more robust than those of its venerated ancestor.
You'll need to be prepared. Here, the forces of good and evil fight to control the past.
Each of the game's 6 playable heroes has a unique playstyle that goes far beyond what skills they can deploy in the battle. This makes changing your party composition a game of its own, since each character plays so differently in combat. Look into the past yourself and find our review to discover more about this excellent RPG. Cris Tales is on PC, Switch, Stadia, PS4, 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S.
Alright people, listen up. We've got a harrowing to stop. And remember, from here on out, it's Captain Fortune.
The goddess granted me a vision. The black mist enveloping the world. If the black mist...
Say what you will about League of Legends, but it can't be denied that the world created by Riot is pushing further and further into the cultural zeitgeist. This is especially true now with the Netflix show Arcane, based on its setting, becoming well known in the mainstream. Ruin King, the new game from Airship Syndicate, is also set in the same universe. However, the developers target a different audience here.
It's time for the truth to come to light.
We are likely to see much more of Jinx, Miss Fortune and others in the years to come. Given the quality of the aforementioned spin-offs, that's probably a good thing. Of course, there is plenty in Ruin King for existing League of Legends players as well. Not only will they already be familiar with the characters, but there are nodes to the esports giant built right into the Ruin King system. The most notable of these is the combat mechanic, which has heroes change their position or lane for different benefits. If you are intrigued, check out our review. Ranking, a League of Legends story, is a PC, Switch, Stadia, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S game. Of course, Solasta is a digital game, so there is plenty of fun to be had that isn't easily done around the gaming table. The environments are highly dynamic and prominently feature different elevation levels. This allows for fresh tactical decision making beyond positioning for a flank or staying out of area of effect range. Solasta Crown of the Magister is a PC game.
The world wound. A cursed land that...
Though the Edition wars are largely over, it's still seeming fitting that a Dungeon and Dragon inspired game would be right next to a Pathfinder title on our list. Wrath of the Righteous is a complete digital translation of the adventure path of the same name. Just like Kingmaker was, one of the main improvements in Wrath is its exhaustive list of available classes. Why choose between tired old jobs like fighters and rogue when you could be a slayer or a war priest? Not only are there plenty of exciting unique classes to choose from, but Wrath of the Righteous also has roughly a gazillion equipment and spell options. This means there's plenty of reason to come back and try a new campaign, banishing demons in completely different ways. For some examples, see what Arolima has to say in our review. Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is a PC and PS4 game. Clubber's The Amazing American Circus is an expected threat, combining deck-building RPG battles with business management. It has you touring across turn of the 20th century America with no less a goal than outshining Barnum himself. It even has decent stories centered around family, legacy and a reluctant protagonist. Each performance is a battle against the audience where you'll play cards to outstun and amaze them. Different acts and performers will add different cards to your deck, and you can customize your circus to your heart's content. The Amazing American Circus is a PC, PS4, Switch and Xbox Series X and S game. Another romanticized vision of yesteryear, Curious Expedition 2 allows players to explore and plunder newly discovered islands, to display their treasures at the Saloon of Paris. All the hallmarks of pulpy adventure stories are here, and the game's roguelike nature gives you plenty of content to explore on each playthrough. You can even choose between two starting explorers, an anthropologist seeking to secure culture's relics in a museum, or a big game hunter focused on bagging big beasts. Curious Expeditions 2 combat is largely dice-based, which sets it apart from games that use strict RNG. Each character has one combat die inertly, with the second available through gear. This gives the game's battles a lovely board game feel. If this seems right up your alley, learn more with our review. Cris Expedition 2 is a PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One game.
If you want to solve a case, you need to put in the work. Entrance blocked. Do some grind. Do a quest.
2021 really has been a great year for digital games that harken, directly or indirectly, to tabletop RPGs. Gamedec is an isometric cyberpunk adventure that Shadowrun fans are sure to love. The game's setting is all its own, though in a future where virtual reality has advanced to allow people to live in whatever world they choose, the player is tasked with solving crimes across dozens of simulated universes.
Heck. Gain entrance.
It should be noted that Gamedec isn't a CRPG. It's much more about following clues and solving mysteries than it is about combat or state building. That said, it doesn't have a sort of leveling system whereby the protagonist can gain different occupations. These allow different options during the investigation. Gamedec is a PC and Xbox One game.
Work harder, kill harder.
Goblin Studios reminds us that it's good to be bad with Legend of Keepers. Players build a fantasy dungeon week by week, hoping to entice heroes with the lure of treasure and consign them to an ignoble death. It builds on plenty of classic games in the genre, but manages to be a force unto itself. Assuming your diabolic traps don't kill the heroes, you can send your minions to engage them in turn-based battles. The single file look evokes Darkest Dungeon, and it's definitely nice to be on the monster side of that equation for once. Legend of Keepers is a PC, Switch and Stadia game.
To your funeral!
There are so many zombie games out there that they've become easy to overlook. Don't give that age to a pass though. It's the shining diamond in a badly overcrowned genre. It's not that it does anything especially different, since all the hallmarks of zombie games are there. Players build bases, recruit survivors, and of course fight off hordes of the undead. Rather, the game shines because it does all of those things extremely well. It's obvious from the very beginning that developer Silent Dreams didn't cut any corners. They made sure to do everything right, and it shows. Dead Age 2 is a PC game. Geneforge 1 Mutagen is a remaster of the classic Mac game Geneforge. While the gameplay has been updated to be more in line with modern expectations, Mutagen is still full of retro charm. Real-time exploration stops when battle is joined, bringing the player into turn-based combat. The nature of the protagonist's spell make positioning and setup on the game's tactical grid incredibly important, ensuring that tactics junkies will get their fix here. Best of all, Mutagen isn't some ham-fisted remake by a studio that picked up a defunct IP for cheap. The game was built by none other than Jeff Vogel himself, the creator of the original Geneforge. If you missed out on the original series, now it's a great time to discover its world for yourself. Geneforge 1 Mutagen is a PC game on Steam.
To the test in unforgiving turn-based combat. Victory belongs only to the most daring players with the sharpest mind.
Dungeon crawling board game Gloomhaven has been sitting at the top of Board Game Geek's chart for several years now, putting it in some pretty exalted company. It's a legacy game where every decision permanently changes subsequent playthroughs, locking and unlocking certain quests, granting new card options and even tearing up cards to permanently remove them from the game. Its component-heavy nature and scarcity at launch made it a very expensive investment for board gamers, so the digital version is extremely welcome.
The dungeon's darker corners hide her perfectly until it's time to strike.
All the elements of the tabletop game are there, albeit without the tile hunting setup and the need to remember rules. It might feel heretical to say, but maybe Gloomhaven wanted to be a digital board game all along. Check it out on PC.
Emerge.
Oh, you found it. Oh, my journal, my drawings.
These pages are old, Mom.
Well, careful.
This is all from your hero days?
Ha, and before. I was just a strong-shouldered farm girl once. I had long black hair.
Sure, Mom, but what about when
the Gorgons came?
We may have witnessed the birth of a classic in 2021. Wildermyth is a triumph in emergent narrative, and it's a darn good game to boot. Every player who tries this game will build a legend all their own. Romances, triumphs and loss will work together to create something truly special.
Past the hills to places where trees walk, where the ruins of other yonderings lie like buried bones.
From its stylized aesthetic to its decision system to its combat, Wildermyth is a genuine article when it comes to world-saving fantasy RPGs. We predict this game will be talked about for years to come, not unlike its humble heroes in their own world. Before you create your own legend, you can see what our bards have sung about Wildermyth in our review and learn why it's considered one of the best indie games of 2021. Wildermyth is a PC game on Steam.
Where'd my old sword get to?
Edge of Eternity is an indie JRPG with look and feel of a AAA title. If you're looking for an anime fantasy open world to explore, look no further than this brilliant game by Midgar Studio. The story is one of the best in recent memory too, another major point in its favor. X-Space combat is rare in JRPGs and it works brilliantly in Edge of Eternity. Specific goals on the combat map give battles a puzzle game feel, and the game is perfectly content to let you come back and try again later if you're stuck on a particular fight.
Come and get me! This is nothing we can't handle.
Follow my lead and we'll get through this.
Upgradable equipment and a progression system reminiscent of Final Fantasy XIII Crystarium round out this home run of a JRPG. Edge of Eternity is a PC game.
It's this!
The only kind we have.
My time has played out, but the story of my life remains written on these pages. From my youth and my family, all through the peaceful years to the start of the war.
The life and suffering of SirBrante might just have been the biggest surprise of the year regarding indie games. Who would have thought that a text-heavy adventure would be one of the best games in recent memory? In this masterpiece from Siva, players guide the titular SirBrante from the moment of his birth until he shuffles off this mortal coil. Every decision matters, and the game's twists and turns will keep you guessing even after multiple playthroughs.
The pursuit of enlightenment was my only joy. My tricks and my antics.
As the title suggests, SirBrante's life is never easy. You can expect hard times to fall on him regardless of what choices he makes on a given run. That's all part of the drama though, and no matter what path SirBrante's life takes, it will be sure to make an impression once all is said and done.
Brought me into the fold. My faith guided others on the one true path.
The life and suffering of SirBrante is a PC game on Steam.
rebel against the old ways? Can I avert the downfall of our empire? Teach forgiveness?
Let me know what you think about our top 20 best indie games of 2021 in the comments below. And don't miss the article on turnbasedlovers.com. Also, please remember to hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and also consider supporting us through our member program and Patreon page. Lots of perks, mystery box awaits you. Wish you the best, ciao!